it's really, it's not really out of, protecting themselves from looking like an idiot because they turned it down. Everybody turns down stuff for their own reasons, and those reasons seem perfectly legitimate at the time.
It doesn't matter respecting other.
But to talk about it later really does disrespect the actor that ended up doing the role. You're almost saying you only got that by default. You only got that because I said, like there was a story floating around about me in The Sopranos, and that it was something that I turned down before I went to James Gandolfini. Well, that's just not true. Yes, I was involved with the project before.
On Fox?
No.
Because it was on Fox first. It was supposed to be on Fox originally, right?
Yeah, well, it was.
You got it on HBO.
It was certainly floating around the networks, and I specifically brought it to CBS, who passed it. But I didn't turn it down or walk away from it. After a certain period of time, it just turned out to be that it was something that wasn't going to work with me in it. And so then it went out again. And the person that was supposed to do it, James Gandolfini, was absolutely the right person for the job. And I don't think it would have been nearly as successful with me in it as it is with him in it. And I think that, that's what I mean. I think you have to be so careful about the things that you think you turned down, or that it's all about perception. Sometimes you're involved with a project for a certain amount of time, and its shelf life runs out, and the people that you're working with, they make a decision that they need to move on and move in a different direction. Or you make a decision that changes the outcome of your involvement with that project, but you can't live with any kind of regret or what ifs.
Weren't you up for Godfather 3, the whole?
No.
At that time when they were Andy Garcia, Alec Baldwin?
No. Even though my name ended in a vowel, and you'd think that'd be a logical choice, I don't think I was ever in the mix for anything.
You said you've taken jobs when you had to take it.
Sure.
Was there a situation like that where you took the job but you wished you could have taken a job elsewhere, which you couldn't afford at the time?
I can't really think of one. Don't think I've really been presented with that dilemma yet.
Right.
Yeah.
Your process for picking roles, just a combination of best script.
Well, it was kind of flawed in the beginning. I mean, I used to just look at the role and think, what can I do with that? And if I thought I could do something interesting with it, I would do it, not taking into consideration the rest of the film. The director, the producers, the studio, all things that are key ingredients, they all have to work in order for the film to be successful.
Right. And if the film is good, and if your part is not as big as you wanted, or it's not the lines that you wanted, if it's a good film,
No, it only really helps the story of the film. I mean, here's what's happened, basically. This is my view, okay? With the advent of the $25 or $30 million actor, which I've already said I have no objection to, it has affected movies, and it has affected how scripts are written. If you're paying $30 million to an actor, then you want to make damn sure that you see that actor pretty much every minute on the screen. Therefore, what's happened is, the difference between movies now and, say, movies in the late 70s and 80s, is that supporting parts in the late 70s and 80s were really supporting parts. They had a beginning, a middle, and an end. Now, supporting parts are just your furniture to get the actor to the next gag, the next scene. You're carrying around their handbag for whatever reason. You're just really not that important to the film as that $30 million actor. And it's reflected in the way supporting parts are written now. If you watch most supporting parts, they have no beginning, middle, and end. They have a beginning, and then you show up again, and then you just drift away, and you never heard of again. There's no real way to track it anymore. And I think ultimately that's hurt how interesting films are. Because no matter how good you are, to just have your head up there for 2.5 hours is not particularly interesting to me. what's interesting to me is the interaction that you have with other human beings on the screen. So the more interesting the interaction with the supporting cast, to me, the more successful the film is. I want to see those relationships. I want to see what happens when he does that to her, when she does that to him. I want to see the fallout. I want to see the positive and the negative of it all. And that's what's missing so often now from scripts.
Your best work,
Too hard for me to judge.
the best film, do you think?
Too hard. I could talk about best experience. I've had lots of great experiences.
29th Street is a beautiful movie, isn't it?
Great experience. Probably so much fun. There's movies you've never heard of, Bulletproof Heart. Great experience. Loved doing it. Worked with Peter Boyle. Loved working with him. Lantana obviously was really fun. Most of the plays I've done in my life I've really enjoyed doing. It's just, I've been, blessed with, an embarrassment of riches in that department. There's been very few projects that I've worked on where I was not happy.
Have you wished you could do a role over, like a really great role? Have another shot at it?
See the point.
Yeah.
But he did it. I made the choices then, and
Right.
whether it was good or bad.
So that's what I would have thought, but I saw Liam Neeson say, I'd like to have another go at Schindler's List.
Oh, he's kidding. He was so good in that. He was great.
Yeah, he said that on Charlie Rose. I was really surprised. He said, I think I was more ready.
Oh, I understand that. He probably feels like he's more emotionally ready for it.
He was tremendous in it.
He was brilliant.
Yeah.
But he's saying
Yeah.
he feels he probably on a maturity level more ready for it now than he was back when he did it.
Right.
He probably would have a greater appreciation for the role he was playing now than he did back then.
Who do you want to work with? Directors, actors,
Anyone good?
genre? Really? So you're not going to mention Spielberg or Frank Darabont or David Mamet or...
I wouldn't say no to any of them. I just want to work with directors that kind of, for the most part, have a proven track record of making decent films.
You talked a little bit about, that whole Lemmy and Tenor experience where it was good to be shook up again. And some of these, younger directors, and they're directing different types of films. You see guys like Bill Murray working with the new generation.
Bill Murray is my hero.
Yeah, and
I love Bill Murray. Bill Murray has a 1-800 number. He doesn't even have an agent.
Yeah.
If you want Bill Murray to work for you, you have to call a 1-800 number and leave a message, and if he likes your message, he'll call you back.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, I love it. I mean, that's the legend.
Yeah.
But, he's more preoccupied with playing golf, which I think is very healthy.
Right.
But talk about a guy whose work has matured and blossomed over the years. His work in Lost in Translation and Rushmore and
Yeah, tremendous.
I just
Lost in Translation was good too.
Lost in Translation is one of my favorite films.
Yeah. You like the Sofia Coppola's and that whole list?
Yeah. What's not to like?
Yeah.
They make great films.
Do you love acting too much to retire completely one day?
I often have thoughts of
Oh, really?
retiring. Yeah. But, not because I'm bored with acting. It's more there's less and less interesting material, and I'm less and less inclined to just go to work, even though that's part of my kind of like DNA.
But as a young man, you never felt like quitting.
Why?
So once you landed out here all the way from Australia, there's no turning back?
It never occurred to me that there was any quitting involved. Once I decided it's what I wanted to do, it's what I wanted to do, whether I was successful at it or not. I was happy doing it. Had I
So
not,
you would have been happy.
had I not gotten some breaks, it's very hard for me to say how I would have felt being 40 years old and not having worked.
Still waiting tables.
If I was still waiting tables at 40 or 50, God help me, I might feel differently, but I can't really speak to that experience because I didn't have it.
Okay, you're still doing that,
And more power to them too. It's like I believe in following your path and following your dream. Sometimes, like I said, everyone's different. Some people hit it later in life, and some people hit it early.
I mean, could you walk off into the sunset from acting and become the president of Australian Soccer Association?
I think pretty much. I mean, as I said, when I came here, when I started doing this 25-something years ago, I came in with nothing, and everything that's happened in between is just gravy. And if I walk out with nothing, then it's all been a good experience. I managed to accomplish something that I set certain goals for myself, I guess, whether I was aware of them or not at the time. But I was on a mission to be gainfully employed in an occupation that I loved doing. That was my goal. To not end up in a job that I just had to take because I didn't think there was any other options.
Finally, we have a mutual friend in the great Martin Landau, who played your father
He did.
Without a Trace. And he says hello. I talked to him yesterday. He said hello.
He's a terrific man.
He loves you. Yeah. Now, here's a guy, I don't know how old he is, but
He's got to be 110. No, I'm kidding.
He came up with James Dean. I mean, he was in the back of James Dean's bike when James Dean first met Steve McQueen. But
this guy's been through the whole game. He's worked with everybody who's anybody, from Elizabeth Taylor, Richard Burton, Cary Grant. This guy has done the full gamut.
Hitchcock, Tim Burton.
I mean, there's a classic example of a guy who's learned how to adapt to his environment and continue working.
Still doing it.
And still doing it. And with the same amount of energy that he had when he was 25.
He came up with McQueen's and the Paul Newman's and the James Dean, but yet he's the guy with the 3 Oscar nominations and the he's the one with the Oscar.
It's like I said, if you're looking for justice in this business, you're in the wrong business.
Yeah.
There is no real justice.
Right.
It's just whatever happens, happens.
Right. But he hung in there and he got his thing.
Yeah, I mean, all of that stuff is, I think because I think I know Martin well enough to know to say that, I don't think he's that result oriented. He's very work centric.
Right.
He's very concerned about the quality of the work.
Right.
And I think that takes care of itself.
Yeah, because when I mentioned that to him, I said, you knew these 2 great icons, and yet you're the one with the Oscar. And he's like, yeah, right, I am.
It didn't occur to him.
Yeah.
Because he's so involved in, doing what he does, which I think is very healthy.
And how do you want to be remembered?
But my daughter is a good father. That would do it for me.
Well, that's beautiful. Thanks very much.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.